and get started. Well, welcome to the Azure AI Fundamentals workshop here at Coding Dojo. My name is Will. I am one of the instructors here for the part-time program. I'm also the Azure specialist for Coding Dojo, so I run almost all of the workshops, or I'm a part of that. So I love Azure. I think cloud is the future, and I think these different tools are really, really neat. And so today we're going to really be focusing on the tools in the cloud for Azure specifically. Now, that doesn't mean that other cloud programs and platforms don't have similar tools, but this particular workshop is for Azure, Microsoft Azure's cloud, and how that works. Just a couple ground rules before we get started. Teamwork makes the dream work. If we're doing some sort of group activity, making sure that you guys are working together well, you're not over dominating, right, the conversation, or discrediting anybody's views, but taking that in and working together well. Having humility sort of comes hand in hand with that. Not everybody, none of us know everything, and so just having humility there. Strength through struggle. Some of this stuff will be harder to comprehend. Maybe whenever we do our machine learning crash course, it might be difficult if it's your first time hearing that or understanding any sort of machine learning stuff. And so just realizing, the second time you go through it, or the third time, or when you read the material, you can understand it. It just might take a little bit. And the last one is respect. If I'm talking, keeping your mic off. If you have any background noise, keeping your mic off, just kind of making sure that there is some respect there. If somebody's talking, not over kind of talking over them, anything of that nature. Here's a little bit of the housekeeping, a little bit of what we think it today might look like. Totally depends on how many more people join. But this is what it could look like, where we have a morning session till about 12:30. I bet it's more about 12 Pacific time. Then we have a lunch, then an afternoon session. This one will absolutely be done early, so it won't be totally 9 to 5. We've got about 4 hours of material maybe to walk through. So it, kind of broken up. We'll have some time this morning and in the afternoon as well. Before I get started, I do want to share just this guy with you. Let me share it. So this is, I'm going to put this in chat. This is the folder we're going to be working in today. This is the entire folder, and then this has our slides that I'm currently working on, and then 2 of the projects that we're going to be working with. So I just wanted to give you guys that. If you wanted to follow along with me, you totally can. You don't have to, but it's just another resource if you want. You should be able to view it. You can't edit it. So if you do want to edit it, you have to make a copy of that. But you should be able to view it and kind of follow along with me. Okay, so in this workshop, we're going to learn about AI concepts, AI workloads in Azure, Microsoft AI services, the different tools that Microsoft provides for that. And then what the goal of that is, we're going to learn these things so that way we can take the AI, the Microsoft AI certification and the AI-900 certification for Azure. And then we can take that, apply that to our job search, apply that to our knowledge or personal projects or things that we're working on, but then also putting it on our LinkedIn. Recruiters love to see certifications like this, so that helps. And there is a massive increased potential for people who know Azure. I was just talking to my friend the other day, who is a software engineer for AT&T, and telling him about, sort of what we're doing. And he just couldn't emphasize enough how incredible that is, and how just, he even said, having that on your resume will make people see you, because the cloud is being integrated more and more and more and more. And we're going to see why today, especially from this idea of AI. There's so many things that we can do that we'll see why using something like Azure versus building it ourselves is really, really a key thing. And again, we're doing this for the AI-900 exam. That's probably, it's a little bit more intricate material of all of our workshops, but it's one of the smallest amounts of material, basically. And we're going to talk about how the different questions are stated in the exam, and what that sort of looks like, and what we can do. And we're going to actually practice some of that as well. We're going to learn what AI is and the core concepts of that. And then we're going to learn the specific Azure offerings. So the things that Azure specifically versus like a GCP, which is Google Cloud Platform, or AWS, what does Azure have, that might be different, or name something different in the other clouds. Like I said, if you stay into the end of this workshop, whether we end at lunch or we end in the afternoon, you will receive a 50% off voucher towards your AI-900 certification exam. So the exam is $100. We will give you a coupon code tomorrow. I'll be sending out an email. You'll get a coupon code that says, hey, thank you for everything. Here's your coupon code. And when you go and sign up for the exam, it'll give you a $50 off. So it's 50% off there. That only is if you stay for the entire workshop, which I think will not be an issue there. Before we get started, does anybody know what Azure is? You can put it in chat or come off mute. You know, what is Azure? Anybody have any ideas?
It's Microsoft's cloud service.
Yeah, it's Microsoft's cloud service. Absolutely. There's different cloud services out there. There's quite a few. The three big ones are AWS, which is probably the largest. And then a close second is Microsoft Azure. Now they do host or kind of tout first in different things. So AWS probably is has more market cap, right? More market usage. More people use AWS, but Azure is quickly coming behind that. But what Azure touts is they have the most data centers everywhere. So a cloud is not actually in the cloud, right? It's servers somewhere, what we call a data center, and Microsoft has the most of those in the world. They're all over the place, including China. They have I think it's called 21 Vietnet, which is a company in China that they kind of work with because Microsoft can't have their own thing in China. But Microsoft touts that they have the most data centers in all the cloud, which is pretty sweet there. According to Wikipedia, Azure is a cloud computing service created by Microsoft for building, testing, deploying, and managing applications and services through Microsoft managed data centers. Like we just said, it is Microsoft's cloud, right? I believe Azure, the idea is, I think Azure is the color, technically the color of the sky. And so the idea of the cloud and the sky totally makes sense. Just like a fun play on words. Cool. So the exam is going to be just one exam. And again, it's $100. You get 50% off of that. But once you do that, you will then be certified in the AI fundamentals course. Now, this exam is not just like a Udemy course or like a free code camp course where you just go and then you can kind of Google the answers. This exam is a little bit more intricate. And when I mean a little bit, it's quite a bit more intricate. It's run by Pearson VUE, so you can take it in your home. But it is proctored, meaning somebody is watching you. Basically, you will have to download an application onto your computer. That application will lock you out of things like Google, any sort of thing that I can use to cheat, right? And so it will lock us out of that. It does take 90 minutes. I believe 60 minutes for that. Not I believe 60 minutes for that is for the actual exam itself. 30 minutes is really just sort of setting up your proctored kind of space. So whenever you do take it, they will have to look at your desk and see, okay, do you have any notes? Do you have any, pieces of paper? Do you have any tablets next to you? Do you have a cell phone next to you? And so things that you could use to cheat. One idea that I would say is if you are taking this exam, if you do have a messy desk, or maybe you are the type of person that loves sticky notes and sticky notes help you remind, I would actually encourage you to just probably take it from your kitchen table or, some other area that maybe you don't work from, because it's just a little bit easier than, like one of the proctored exams, there was a dog toy on the floor and the proctor said, hey, make sure that you change that or pick that up, because they didn't know what it was. And so sometimes if you have a desk that maybe this is your space, right? And you know where everything is, although it's messy, you know where everything is. Taking it somewhere else, some other area, some other table, coffee table, something like that can kind of just, help with that, because you don't have to really rearrange. Just make sure that's done and good to go. You do need to schedule it in advance. Usually about 24 hours, sort of depends though. There's quite a few proctors available really at all times. So even if at 2 in the morning, it's the best time for you. Oftentimes you can find a proctor, and then it's about 50 to 60-ish questions. I believe the AI-900 was 55. And so it's just somewhere in between there as well. One thing I also want to note, this has nothing to do with AI, but just to give you guys a heads up, I'm expecting a package this morning. My wife broke her laptop, and so I'm expecting a package that I have to sign for. So if they say by noon today, hopefully it's at lunchtime or we're on a break. But if not, if I, pause real quick, that's just me. I have to go get that package, and I will be, 1 or 2 minutes. So just a heads up there. The format for the exam is like this, is what's on the screen. So this is what we're going to be going through today. We're going to be talking about NLPs, which is one of my favorite things. I think it's so fascinating. We're really going to be talking about machine learning, computer vision, conversational AI. So we're going to have these last three parts where we're talking about computer vision, natural NLP, so natural language processing, and conversational AI. That's going to be this afternoon. This morning, we're really going to be talking about AI workloads. And then particularly, we're going to do a crash course in machine learning and the things that Azure sort of has to set up and do that it can use for that. And that just comes straight from Microsoft itself. It doesn't come in this format, but it says, 30% of the questions, between 30 and 35%, are going to be on this machine learning piece, et cetera, et cetera. Here are the ones that we currently offer right now. Here are the kind of your base fundamental ones. We have AZ-900. That one is a monster of a exam. We do offer a workshop on this, but it is much, much larger, in my opinion, than the AI and the DP. And I think Kyle could also agree with me there. Just the material is a lot, and that's our general cloud. So understanding the cloud, why company would move to the cloud, how do the cloud works, what is a data center, what is a region pair and availability zone, et cetera, et cetera. Then your DP900, I think this is a little bit mislabeled if we're being transparent, because I find it fascinating. I teach, web applications, full stack development, but the data fundamentals piece, the DP900, is actually fascinating and a really, really good one for anybody who's even in web development, because it's learning how to deal with your data, right? Whether you have a relational or non-relational database, how does that work there, right? Like, how do you set up your application to handle that data? What does it look like? What does your data need to look like, et cetera, et cetera. So these are the three that we offer. Next week, I will be teaching a DP900. So that will be next Wednesday, same time. If you're interested, you can reach out to Luke to get the Zoom link there. So we do offer these each month. There are more, though. There are more Azure certifications that if you want, some of these are more expensive, like this DP100 and the DA100 are more expensive. The AZ500 is more expensive as well. But these are some other additional certifications that if you want to continue getting certified, if you really find it fascinating in the cloud, you can do these as well. We are working to do the DA100. And so that is one that we're also trying to offer, that in the DP100 as well. So like I said, this is the learning path. Again, comes straight from Microsoft itself, and the different things for you to learn and be able to identify, and things that we're going to actually be talking about today. So here's our schedule and resources. Each one of these links sends to a different portion of the Microsoft Learning Platform. So if I were just to look at this, just to get you familiar with that, Microsoft does have its own learning platform. This is where a lot of this material comes from, this and what was on the exam. But this is its own learning platform where you can walk through, you can understand machine learning, it can teach you, it has a video, how machine learning works, et cetera, et cetera. So it does teach you as well. And so this is set up just that way you can, kind of have the links to these different pieces if you want to go and study even more. Again, this is our tentative agenda. We are way ahead of schedule for our introduction. And so we will be ending early, even for lunch, I would assume. This part right here, this part right here, this machine learning is going to be our heaviest portion of the day. And so just super transparent about that. That will be our heaviest portion of the day, but we have some fun things before we get there, and then we will have a lunch. And then after that, we will reassess our workshop and decide if we continue in the afternoon or if we just cut it off at lunch. I also wanted to give you guys access to this. This is a study guide. You do not have to do this at all. This is just a tool that, was created that if you guys want to, you can use it. Basically, as I am talking about this stuff, you can either write in a definition or notes about this particular topic. You can create your own. Just this idea is that you can use this as a study guide when you're studying for the actual exam itself. You don't have to do this. You can do it if you want. Now, you will not be able to edit it. This is our template. So if you want to be able to edit it, you just basically say file, make a copy, it will make a copy. You say where you want it to make a copy, and then it will make a copy for you. And that one you can actually edit there if you would like. And so again, if you want to use this, just go to File, make a copy, and then you can do that, and use this as a tool. You can, and it goes through all the different things that we're going to talk about. So maybe even you don't do it during class, but you rewatch the lecture and you actually walk through and say, okay, this is what this is what this is, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just a tool. Again, you don't have to use it, just something that we wanted to provide for you in case you did or were interested in using it. Cool. Any questions? Any questions on what we're going through? And then we will do an intro to AI. Any questions on the introduction?
No, I think we're good.
Cool. All right. Does anybody know what AI is? Can anybody kind of give me a definition of AI either in the chat or just in person?
It's like artificial intelligence in a sense. So it basically learns as you work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great idea, Kyle. Anybody else have anything? Okay, before I get to this slide, I'm going to go a little bit ahead. And this is what I would say, right? Simply put, AI is the creation of software that imitates human behaviors and capabilities, right? So our brains can think and make decisions and understand certain things. And what AI sets out to do is really sort of imitate the human brain, right? Be able to make decisions, be able to understand what an image is, right? I can look at a cat and know that that is a cat. And what an AI does is it sets out to imitate that behavior, right? With AI, it enables us to build amazing softwares that can improve healthcare, right? We can enable people to overcome physical disadvantages. One thing I think about with that is I actually got a targeted ad this morning, which I thought was really cool, for this thing called Speechify. And basically you can download it. It's like $130 a year if you want, but you can download it and it will read out, let's say like my wife's in law school, so she has to read court cases and stuff all the time. It will read it out to you using AI. It will read out, it will understand, it will emphasize certain things. And so if somebody does have maybe a physical disadvantage, maybe dyslexia, or they have something where they can't really see as well, using these tools with AI, we can actually help sort of elevate them to have that better understanding or be able to put them on the same playing field of maybe somebody who doesn't have that, which I think is really cool. There's some really cool things. We can empower smart infrastructure and just incredible entertainment experiences when and if we get to the NLP section and we're dealing with this natural language processing. There's this really cool thing with like the Oculus VR headset that we use AI to basically make it feel like you're in a game and you can respond, and you're talking to some computer and it is talking back, right? It's processing what you're saying and it's giving you information back as if you're having a conversation with somebody who just doesn't exist, which is really, really cool. And AI can save the planet. There is a video. Let me make sure that I am sharing I want to share. Let's see. I want to make sure I share my sound. Cool. Cool. All right. So I want to show you this video. Well, what is happening? Okay. Let me know if you guys cannot hear it.
Artificial intelligence isn't coming, it's here. It's the defining technology of our time. But it's human ingenuity that makes it so powerful. Jane started losing her vision when she was 12.
California Street.
She uses Seeing AI.
I crept down
the stairs and out the door,
which enables her to read and navigate her world. Microsoft AI is helping farmers adapt to climate change,
We can use technology to help feed the world without wrecking the planet.
enabling wildlife conservation,
The ability to use AI really democratizes science. WildMe uses images from any source to help study endangered species.
And creating new ways for people with hearing loss to communicate.
I want the exact same information that my hearing friends have.
It's more than just imitating intelligence or sounding like a human. Microsoft AI is changing every industry, from healthcare.
And now you can see these finite details, the relationship with many structures,
to engineering and telecommunications.
We are using artificial intelligence to change the way we are relating to customers.
AI lets us put people first.
The Microsoft tools really enabled us to breathe digital life into an iconic brand persona.
The product that we make is not a thing in a box.
No.
Microsoft AI empowers others to create experiences and potential. This is just the beginning.
Artificial intelligence, it's just opened up this whole world.
The future we invent is a choice we make.
All right. If that doesn't hype you up, I don't know what will. I just think that is such an amazing thing and such a cool thing that AI can do. And when we're talking about AI, there are 5 sort of core and key elements, especially from Microsoft. There's five key elements that it talks about. So on the exam. And so just having an understanding of what each is, we're going to really talk and dive into almost all of these, except maybe not anomaly detection as much. We're going to dive into all of these today. And so that's what our focus is on this whole idea of AI. And so we're going to go through each of them right now. First one is machine learning, right? And this one, you've probably heard this quite a bit, right? If you've seen iRobot, then you're probably like see this robot on the screen. And you're like, oh, machine learning is not a great thing, or it's quite scary. But it's a way that we teach a computer model to make a prediction and draw conclusions from data, right? And so we can use this in so many different things. But it's the machine learning piece is how we actually teach our computer, teach our model, hey, when you read this, this is what I want you to do. Or when somebody says this, this is what I need you to do. And so it's us teaching. You can think of that idea of teaching is like synonymous with training, because you're going to see training a lot when we talk about machine learning, where we're going to train our model to make a prediction and draw a conclusion from our data. Anomaly detection is the capability to automatically detect errors or unusual activity in a system. As you can kind of see from the picture, if every single fish is going one way and one's going the other way, that might be an anomaly. You can use the same thing with our data, right? If we are a great example of anomaly detection is, let's say, a credit card, right? If you are in Colorado, let's say, or in Seattle, right, and you use your credit card, and then 2 hours later, your credit card number is used in Germany, there's not somebody at the credit card company just sitting and waiting, right? And waiting for you to like reading every single thing and then doing the math on, can you get to Germany in 2 hours from Seattle, whatever, right? There is a model, or there is a machine that has been trained to say, hey, there's an anomaly in this person's spending habits. And then it alerts and says, oh, hey, did you just spend X amount of money in Germany? If not, then, this might be a fraud thing. So that might be an idea of anomaly detection. Computer vision, super great. It's the ability of software to interpret the world visually through cameras, video, and images. You can think of computer vision as like your Face ID, right? Whenever you have your phone, if you have like an Apple and you use Face ID, or certain things like self-driving. So, right, self-driving cars is going to use some sort of computer vision to know, okay, is this a person? Is this a traffic light? What does the traffic light say? Is it green? Is it red? Blah, blah, blah. So it's using computer vision to read those images visually. Next one is natural language processing. That's one of my favorites. But it's the capability for a computer to interpret written or spoken language and respond in kind. So you can kind of think about this, especially as like your Siri or your Google Home or your Alexa, where you can say something, it processes what you say, and then it responds to you in your language and in the sort of correct syntax in the correct way. That would be natural language processing. Then we have our conversational AI. This one you can throw is a capability of a software agent to participate in a conversation. Like I use Xfinity for my internet. And so whenever I have an issue, if I want to chat, oftentimes I really just want a person to chat with to help me, but it's a bot that's saying like, hey, what do you need help with? Do you need help with your bill? Do you need help with, XYZ? The other the other workshop leader, her name's Noelle. She had a great example as well. Wherever she gets her hair done, she can just text and say, hey, I want an appointment. And then it asks for what's the date. And then she gives the date, and then it gives the times, and she gets to pick a time. So it's just it's like she's texting, right? Just it's a software agent, whether it's through text or whether through a chat or / chat bot on a screen, or if you're on your phone, and it's like, say 1 for this, say 0 for this. That would be some sort of conversational AI that's been trained to say, if the user says 0 or if the user says blank, this is what I want you to do. But with these big 5 elements, there is this idea of responsible AI, right? And this is something that is wildly, wildly important. It's that old Spider-Man quote from Uncle Ben that says, with great power comes great responsibility, right? Because when we are dealing with responsible AI, artificial intelligence is a powerful tool that can be used to greatly benefit the world. And we saw those things, right? The woman who has been losing her sight, it's been able to read, and she can read to her daughter, or she can read and do work, something like that. It can help with food, right? And deciding and determining, okay, this, it hasn't rained this much. This is the plant that we're using. This is how much water we need. Or it can maybe take a sample of the dirt and say, okay, not enough nutrients are here. It's super high in iron or whatever. Here's how you can combat that. But there's also there's another side, as always, to basically anything of AI that, AI has been responsible for incarcerating people of, a particular color or gender, that may be at a higher rate than another race or gender. Responsible AI, if not used well and not used responsibly, can actually affect people's lives, right? If you're doing a facial recognition, like it's that old, I don't know if you guys have seen Black Mirror, but the one where the girl basically has like a number associated to her, and every single number sort of gives like what house she can get and what car she can get and where she is. And from like a status perspective, if we're using AI to sort of walk down that, and certain countries are absolutely using those exact things. If we're using AI for that, then that can be really just detrimental to society and detrimental to people as well. So with that, there are 6 principles that Microsoft, these aren't necessarily like the general AI principles, but Microsoft particularly has 6 principles designed to ensure that AI applications provide amazing solutions to difficult problems without unintended negative consequences. And so we're actually going to move to our first group exercise. And when I mean group, there is just enough people to do it. And so there might be one person that is, in a group. But what we're going to do basically is I have all these slides right here, right? So there is fairness, there's reliability and safety, privacy, security, inclusiveness, transparency, and accountability. And so what we're going to do here is we are going to, and I'll put this in the chat for you guys as well. I will put you in your groups, or I will put you in a group, or you're on your own. But basically what you'll do is you'll come here. Let's say you're in accountability. Whenever I do the breakout rooms, I'll say, what are you in? You will go to your slide of accountability, and you guys have access to change this, and you will read this part, right? And so you'll go down to the part that says accountability. You'll watch your video, and then you will basically make up a slide that just teaches us of accountability, right? Teaches us, well, what is accountability? What are the basis of that? Why is that important? And so you can just add, if you wanted, let's say you're on accountability, you can just right click and then say like duplicate slide. And then with the second one, okay, so I did it for you. Maybe I just have like answer. And then you just kind of walk through what accountability is. So we're going to take 15 minutes to where you, again, you go to whatever your breakout room says, that's the one you're going to go to. There's going to be one group that has 2 people. And so then, you guys can just work together in your breakout room. You guys will do this. We're going to take 15 minutes. Then we're going to come. You guys are actually going to present it to the group. So you're just basically going to say, hey, this is what transparency is. This is what it looks like. This is what I learned. I mean, something like a minute or two, nothing crazy. Is there anybody whose mic does not work? You can put that in the chat if you're, or just direct message me. If your mic doesn't work, then I'd prefer to put you, you know, with somebody else who does have a good working mic, but okay. Nobody. Okay. So you guys have access to this. Any questions on this group exercise?
Nope.
Cool. Well, then let me go ahead and